Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another live edition of From the Chair with Big Money Exchange. Tonight, it's just the host, that's Blah, and myself. Our co-host and guest are both under the weather, and we hope that they get better soon. So, as we say in the wrestling world, the show must go on. So, tonight, without further ado, we bring you From the Chair with your host, the talking Blah.
Well, again, I'm not Blob. It's not going to be a remake of the 80s really bad horror movie, The Blob. Although, if you looked at my midsection, you might think that. Um, so let's talk about some exciting news for the Pacific Northwest that I found out recently before we came on today. I don't know the date, but in Yakima at the Sun Dome, Defy is bringing three legendary wrestlers to wrestle each other in a triple threat. They're bringing AEW's El Hijo Vikingo, former former WWE and WCW superstar, and former 9-time J Crown champion, the Ultimo Dragon. And the third one is former WWE superstar and WCW superstar, Juventud Guerrera. And for those who don't know, that for this area, for the Pacific Northwest, that's a pretty big advertisement. Yeah, especially with Vikingo uh, getting so much momentum in AEW right now. Um, and then with Ultimo Dragon, he's just a legend. Excluding the blunder that he had at WrestleMania, I believe it was 20, which I felt kind of bad for him on because from I mean he had a couple more matches um after that in WWE, but that pretty much killed his career in WWE. Um, and then Juventud Guerrera was kind of in the same boat as the Ultimo Dragon, where he had a great career in WCW, and then for whatever reason, when he came to the WWE for that short run, they decided to put him with Psychosis and Super Crazy and make him the Mexicools riding on a lawnmower, which was kind of borderline racist and stereotypical. Even though Vince was trying to push the boundaries back then, I'm kind of surprised he did that. Speaking of Vince McMahon, and no mustache update, he still hasn't shaved off the Hitler mustache. Um, according to the SEC filings on this WWE Endeavor partnership, Vince McMahon has a lifetime contract to be the CEO of WWE. The only way he can be removed is by being forced out by Endeavor, or if he's physically incapable of performing his job. So, like if he had, God forbid, if he had a heart attack or whatever. Uh, then they would have to find a new CEO. And again, people out in on the dirt sheets and stuff are saying, well, that doesn't mean that Vince McMahon is in charge of the creative. Well, if you give the man a lifetime contract, he's not just gonna sit on his hands. I apparently a corporate uh event kept Triple H away from SmackDown last Friday. And so, according to the rumor sites, and I do want to preface this as being a rumor, uh, it was Bruce Pritchard and Ed Koski that took over the booking and how SmackDown was run. But again, my question is this. You're telling me that the news comes out that Vince McMahon has a ironclad lifetime contract to stay in WWE with this new venture with Endeavor. And conveniently there's a corporate matter that causes Triple H not to be on SmackDown when Triple H, since he took over creative, hasn't missed a show. That seems a little too convenient to me. Any thoughts?
Oh, you're actually talking to me now instead of just talking out your blah. My thought is Vince McMahon's going to have his hands in WWE until the day that that man dies. But, enough about the WWE and AEW for a while. Let's talk about this from the chair with Big Money Exchange. Let's talk a little bit about this beautiful partnership of ours. Because this is the first time that we have gotten to talk to our fans since we've merged, because we've been doing interview after interview after interview.
Yes.
Single-handedly tonight, or since we've done this merger about 6 shows ago, we have been generating lots and lots and lots of more viewers, and our Facebook page has blown up. And ladies and gentlemen, it's official. Our podcast is now on Instagram.
Yes. Which we're very excited about. At last check, I believe we had 52 followers, but that's going to climb,
So we want to thank Big Money Dodge for accepting our partnership. And here, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take both of us off the screen here for a minute so you can see our beautiful new background. That's right. We've officially merged with Big Money Exchange.
And to steal a line from our illustrious new partner and co-host, who again we hope is doing better today, and hopefully we'll be back tomorrow night. That's big money.
You know what else is big money? Nathan and I are about to hit a very, very big milestone together.
Yes.
We aren't going to announce which show it is, so you're going to have to tune in and see just which show it is. But here next week, from the chair where inclusion matters, with Big Money Exchange, we'll be celebrating our 50th episode. That's right, the 50th episode of this podcast since we've been on StreamYard. I'll put it that way. We've got more episodes out, but since we've been on StreamYard, this is our 50th episode together.
Which, again, for me is a very humbling thought um, for something for both of us that we thought we would just do, and that we put all our heart, you know, sweat and everything into this. Um, to get to that number is a very humbling experience, and I'm excited to see how much further we go, especially with this new partnership.
And it's like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to reveal just which show next week it is, but trust us, you will know because there will be banners. You thought Pandemonium Day was going to be exciting? Oh no. Our
Oh
50th
no.
our 50th anniversary show, there's going to be banners, there's going to be pomp and circumstance, there's going to be confetti, there's going to be glitter. It's going to be amazing.
And
Okay,
again,
maybe not the glitter and confetti because my wife would kill me.
again, I have to say it, mainly because he's not here. That day is gonna be big money.
And we've even got a big money guest to celebrate that day with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are very, very excited. And here is to, many, many more together.
And I mean, that day, one of my thoughts were, possibly we could thank some of our most memorable guests, maybe after the interview.
Yeah, we might stay on a little bit longer and do a little thank you and shout outs to some of our most memorable guests and some of our favorite episodes of our podcast. But we are by far done. Let's talk about some of our guests coming up in the next several weeks. Tomorrow we actually have 2 episodes. That's right. We have one at 9:00 in the morning. So for you early risers, join us at 9 a.m. tomorrow, where we interview referee Christopher Barjares.
Yes.
And then later that evening at 6 p.m. out of Colorado, ladies and gentlemen, it's Animal Sam, better known as the Madman from the Badlands. So Nathan, you better batten down the hatches on that one because I hear he's coming for you.
Okay, I'm ready. And I'll tell you what, guys, or ladies and gentlemen, this guy's a throwback. I mean, he reminds me, and I'll bring this up more tomorrow night, but he reminds me of a throwback to Blackjack Mulligan.
And actually, I have to agree with that assessment of our guest for tomorrow night. I mean, I think that's probably the first one I've agreed with you on. So that's another first big money move because I don't normally agree with our host very often.
That's true.
So, and then Wednesday evening, it's going to be a later podcast. It's going to be at 7:30 at night, and that's Mr. Todd Phillips. No, not the commentator from WWE.
I believe now, again, I could be wrong, but I believe he's a referee also, yes?
No, sir. He's actually a wrestler out of Portland.
I late corrected. I would say Stan, but I haven't stood in a very long time.
And then the 18th, we have Mr. Javier Cruz at 7 p.m. And ladies and gentlemen, on the 19th will be my first show that I actually miss in a very, very long time because I have work engagements on the 19th and 20th, but Big Money Dodge and Nathan should be okay to handle these interviews by themselves. And yes. On the 19th, we have Carrie Jean Brody. And on the 20th, we're going to call it Lucha Saturday. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to call it Lucha Saturday. Sorry. It's going to be Lucha Saturday. Because we have Skull Wrestler, a very talented luchador. And then we have our very first Hawaiian wrestler, also a very talented luchador, in El Guerrero Cuervo. Mr. Skull is at 11 a.m. and Cuervo is at 7 p.m. on Saturday the 20th. On Sunday, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, we're pulling double duty again. We love pulling double duty on these shows. That's why we're the hardest working podcast in all of podcasting history. And we can officially say that after last Sunday when we did not one, not two, but yes, ladies and gentlemen, 3 interviews in one day.
And before you go on to anything else, the thing I liked about that Sunday was each podcast episode kept getting better and better. Right? From a great interview, from a booking standpoint, to the man who lost to a woman in the Red Rock Rumble, although we found out later he's lost more than that, to one of the most intriguing wrestlers I've talked to in a very long time, and
Urza. And so on the 20th, on Sunday the 21st, ladies and gentlemen, I am very honored to have this first interview on Sunday afternoon. His name is Oceana Avery, and that's going to be at 1 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. Let me tell you why this is a very, very special interview for myself and for my co-host. He is the first interview that we get to interview from Off the Ropes Wrestling Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, That name sounds familiar? It should, because that is Mr. Gino Rivera, Mr. I Told You So's wrestling school. It might not be his first graduate, but it's the first graduate we get to interview from one of our favorite interviews, Mr. Gino Rivera. So we're looking very forward to that first interview on Sunday the 21st.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's that Gino Rivera, the 16-time world champion.
Woo! Oh.
It's okay. If you wouldn't have done it, I would have.
Sorry, we had to do that, But, and then in the evening, it's Mr. Dean Shore. And remember, go ahead.
That sounds like it'll be a great interview also.
Yes, it does. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, sometime in that week is our 50th episode. And we're still not going to give that away.
No.
So on the 22nd, we've got Mr. Jordan Cruz. And then on the 23rd, we've got Steve Dodge coming in to join us.
One of the best up-and-coming promoters in the Northwest. So I'm excited to talk to him. Hear what some of his plans are.
On the 24th, ladies and gentlemen, you probably want to have a drink in your hand, because on the 24th at 7 p.m., we've got a local Pacific Northwest legend, Mr. J.B. Moonshine.
Now, I have a question. Is it possible to get a contact buzz through a computer?
Let's hope not, because I've never seen you drunk.
It's not a pretty sight.
I can understand why. Okay, and then ladies and gentlemen, on Thursday the 25th, this podcast gets to interview wrestling royalty. Well, not royalty, but probably our biggest tag team of this little podcast's career. Ladies and gentlemen, on the 25th of May, we get the NWA US Tag Team Champions of the World, the Country Gentlemen. Sorry, I watched the DX thing last night, and I just had to do that.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're also probably going to label something on that about the Crockett Cup, because I guarantee you, with the Crockett Cup coming up, and with them firmly being with the NWA, we're going to talk past Crockett Cup, current Crockett Cup,
and everything wrestling in the NWA.
Yep, and in between.
Between. And then on the 26th, going into Labor Day week, or Memorial Day weekend, is a referee out of, I believe, the state of West Virginia. I'm not 100% sure, but he's on the East Coast somewhere. Mr. Reggie Cassidy. And then on the 27th, we get our second ever media scrum. And I can now confirm that we're going to have 2 interviews on that afternoon. That's right. We have the long-awaited interview, and I guess a very special announcement from our friend T-Rex.
I keep hearing about this announcement, and yeah, it's like waiting for the lottery numbers when you think you have like the winning ticket. You're anticipating what it's gonna be. And the one thing about T-Rex is, even though you think you know what it's gonna be, much like Roddy Piper, he can change the questions on you in a heartbeat.
Okay, and then on the 28th, ladies and gentlemen, is our reschedule from tonight. That's right, Miss Scarlett Rose. Please get better soon, and we'll see you on the 28th. And that'll be a 4 p.m. interview on the 28th.
That's right.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Our podcast accepts wrestlers and people being sick or having things come up, and we reschedule them as soon as we can. Unlike other podcasts that I hear that take a while to reschedule their guests.
Well, the thing is, things happen, right? Life happens. You get sick. But we respect and want to hear from these people so badly that we're more than willing to reschedule. Even if, like Tony said, if we have 2 on one day, sometimes we're willing to reschedule and do 3 like we did last Sunday.
We try to make it more feasible for our guests. And that's the way that we run our podcast. On Monday the 29th is Christian Federal at 6 p.m. And then on the 30th is another interesting interview, another local legend. Well, I guess he could be a Northwest legend. Mr. TNT, Tyson Lee.
Yes, I would consider him with all the work he's done in Powerbomb and in BCW. I would consider him a Northwest legend.
And on the 31st of May, and rounding out our no days off in the month of May. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard me right. No days off in the month of May. Well, maybe pretty close to no days off, but I guess the days off that we had, we made up with shows. So yeah, no days off in the month of May. Slick Tyson Stone out of Colorado. And that completes our May schedule. And there's even bigger interviews in the month of June, but I don't want to confuse everybody right now, so we just want to end with the month of May. But there's big interviews coming in the month of June. One of them, our co-host actually booked for us.
Yes.
As well. So I'm looking forward to that one.
You brought up Jordan Cruz coming up this month. Let me give you a little bit of background on Mr. Cruz. He is the former United Wrestling, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood Heritage Champion. He's Championship Wrestling from Hollywood Television Champion. And most recently just turned heel.
No, not heel. Mr. Big Money Dodge would love him.
Yes. I'm pretty sure he'll think of him as Big Money.
I'm pretty sure he would too, because he always thinks that he's big money.
Now that you said that, for a minute you wanted to not talk about WWE, but There's one thing that's been bugging me since last Friday, and we haven't talked about it because we've had, like you said, we've had guests on, whatnot. But why in the world, if you're WWE and you change the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view from the King and Queen of the Ring to Night of Champions so that you can celebrate the 1,000-day title reign of Roman Reigns, would you not have Roman Reigns defend the Universal WWE Championship, but instead have him in a match with Solo Sikoa against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the tag titles? That doesn't make any sense to me.
You know, the other thing that doesn't make sense to me is, why is Sami Zayn okay with going to Saudi Arabia? Isn't he Syrian ascent?
Yes, but I found out, and again, that you can go online and hear this, but take it as a rumor for until we have confirmation that Saudi Arabia and Syria are in peace talks, so that they would be willing to work together. So I think knowing that, Sami is more willing to go over, and they're more willing to have Sami go over to Saudi Arabia.
Okay, so put your phone in the sleep mode and see if it came off.
So let's see here. What else is going on? Let's see here. This is the first time that Nathan hasn't been called a forehead.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I just called you a forehead. So do you want to go into a little bit of why we merged with Big Money Exchange?
Yeah, I can do that. Again, as the people that saw a couple of podcasts back, or maybe 4 or 5 podcasts back, depending on how far you watched, our former co-host Pat, for the betterment of himself and the podcast, we decided to go a different way.
Okay.
And again, we wish him the best in his future endeavors and anything that he does in the future. In that, though, Tony and I knew that we needed to find a co-host that would bring some clout and some notoriety to this podcast.
But it should.
And
You have to put that in.
Somebody that added some entertainment to this podcast. And so the first person that we thought of, because he did come on the last the last day that Pat was on here, was Big Money Dodge.
That's not either. When you hit 9.
At the time, he just came on to kind of talk about the wrestling news and just have a good time. Well, afterwards, Big Money Dodge presented Tony and I with a contract offering this partnership, and it was just too good of a deal to pass up. And it's turned out to be one of the best deals that we've made, and I look for nothing but success in the future.
And he's the one that got us on Instagram. He's the one that has gotten us a few new interviews. He's the one that we've leaned on for advice coming into these shows. And the other part of this deal was, at any time, anywhere, any member of Big Money or Exchange is allowed to come on and co-host a show.
Yes, so that's some exciting news also. We could have Boom Mayhem. We could have I'm trying to think of the other guy. Rex. What was Rex's name? Do you remember?
I can't remember. We could have a couple of his new members that he's just currently trying to sign come on and
yes.
be.
We could have Killian Crow back on, who he's
they're just rumors right now because it's not officially said. So
right, but another one that's a rumor, although from what we've been hearing from Big Money is very close to being done, is the Black King Deontay Ford. So I mean, and as much as I give and will always give Big Money a hard time because let's be fair, he makes it easy. The man knows what he's talking about. And obviously the success that Big Money Exchange has had in California and soon to be in the Northwest and around the world, you can't argue with success.
And that's why it was the easiest and best decision that we made to partner up with Big Money Exchange. It was a partnership made with, should we say it? Big Money?
Big Money.
With Big Money. How about this? With Big Money Intentions.
Yes.
The other thing is coming soon. We have Big Money Compound.
Yes.
And there may be some more announcements coming soon with that on this podcast about the Big Money Compound.
Yes, I know Big Money has told us off camera that he is very excited about these announcements and about what the Big Money Compound will be.
So let's see here. I'm trying to stay on wrestling topics. Oh, in September, ladies and gentlemen, we re-signed our one of our favorite interviews coming back. He's our first repeat guest. Well, can't really say that either. I mean, he's our first big name repeat guest. How about that?
Yes.
And he's bringing his mouthpiece with him. So you'll have to wait for September to see the Plex the Flex Mex.
Nope, you said it right the first time.
The Plex Mex and his manager, Mr. J Sizzle for Rizzle. And to me, this is an honor because I've wanted to have Mr. J Sizzle on this podcast for a very long time because he is another intricate part of this podcast's history. For the people that don't know, Mr. Sizzle was the one that got us SOS. He is the one that got us. He was the one that got us Plex.
He's the one that got us in touch with
Pandemonium.
Panda, yeah. I was trying to think if that was Sizzle or if that was Randy.
And then it went from there, Panda went and talked to Cadaver. Cadaver went and talked to her trainer. So now we get her trainer on the podcast. We're still gonna try to get Vertigo to come back on.
I'm not gonna tell you who, but we're possibly working on another member of Hellbound.
I don't think so. That's nuts.
So there's some big name, big money talent coming to this podcast very, very soon. Did you see online, and again, strictly a rumor, and I wanted to kind of get your opinion on this. The doctor is telling Randy Orton to walk away and retire because he should never wrestle again.
Yes, I saw that it was his father that said that in an interview. But in that same rumor, and again, like Tony said, we want to preface that by saying rumor. The person describing it brought up a valid point. Is that really what the doctors told Randy Orton? Or is that something that Randy Orton, the WWE, and Cowboy Bob Orton are using to get people to talk about Randy before they bring him back?
Knowing the WWE, anything is possible.
Speaking of the WWE and rumors, and again, I want to preface that by saying rumor, and I thought you would find this interesting. What do you think of the rumored tag team of LA Knight, Rick Boogs?
Weird.
Dummy, yeah.
Now, is that a dummy yeah that you would like that tag team, or that it's a dumb tag team and they shouldn't do it?
I can't say it's a bad idea until I see them wrestle together and go from there.
Because apparently the rumor was that there was supposed to be a segment last Friday on SmackDown that would have featured LA Knight, Rick Boogs forming a tag team.
Very cool.
Although that rumor also said that it wasn't supposed to be a very long tag team.
Interesting.
And it also said that LA Knight is one of 3 people being considered to win the Money in the Bank ladder match in London later this month.
One of 3 people considered. Well, we all know who's probably going to end up winning that match anyway. But again, it's strictly rumor because I don't know if he's even going to be involved in the Money in the Bank.
Yeah, if you're talking about Cody, that is a rumor because we don't know what shape he's going to be in after Night of Champions. If they go through with the rumored fight pit match with Brock Lesnar, like we know that they're having a match between him and Brock Lesnar in Saudi Arabia, but it hasn't been announced yet if it's going to be a fight pit. Although with the fact that last Monday on Raw, Brock said that he wanted a fight, I can see it.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, again, ladies and gentlemen, forgive us. We're a little rusty at doing this because we're used to interview after interview after interview after interview. But, you know, it's been a while since Nathan and I have got to shoot the breeze. I wish we had some guests on because I'd use my famous line, but we don't. So,
yeah. And again, for valid reasons, and we hope that Scarlett, and we hope that Big Money get better soon, and you know everything works out very well for them.
You know, I need you to probably. It's, you know, let's just talk about it. You know, we have a member of Big Money Exchange going through some issues right now, and Nathan has a dear friend in a tag team here in the Northwest that are going through some things right now, and this is actually the month of May, which is also Mental Health Awareness Month. So, Nathan, do you want to do a little
Public service
announcement?
Absolutely. full disclosure here, ladies and gentlemen, I have post-traumatic stress disorder. So what I'm about to tell you comes from my heart. Um, whatever you're going through, you're not alone. It might feel like you're alone. You might feel like everything that is happening to you that nobody would understand. Um, but they do. I mean, it might not seem like it now. It might not seem like it tomorrow. It might seem like you're trapped in a tiny box with no way out. But there's somebody out there. Sometimes it's just, you know, you have to reach out and ask for help, or sometimes you just have to look in front of you. Because sometimes the person that can help you the most is standing right in front of you. And sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're around the corner. But never give up. And I know that's a John Cena saying, but in this saying, it fits. Um, because life can be good, life is good. Whatever you're going through uh, will get better. And for those who um, have family members or friends or anybody that's going through any kind of situation with like depression, PTSD, like mental illnesses or anything, just be there for them. Because as hard as it gets to try to be there for them, the only way you can truly uh, help somebody when they're going through something like that is to be that support, and they'll come around. I mean, it might take a while because they have to do it at their own pace. So there's an old saying that patience is a virtue. And I think as a society we forget that saying because with the internet and with DoorDash and with everything else that makes it easy to get things that are like right now, people forget about the fact that patience is a valid thing. So even though people have a tendency to want to fix things right away, in these type of situations you can't. Um, so thank you for giving me the time to be real and again, just be there for everybody.
That's right. And again, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, so take care of yourself and the ones that you love. Mental health is serious. Mental health is real. Just like mental illness, it's real.
Yep.
So, again, let's see here. Anything else in the world of wrestling going on that you would like to address?
Well, I'm glad you asked that.
Oh boy, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes another long-winded story.
While I was getting ready for this podcast, I started watching POW.
How? Is that an Indian movie?
No, it's a wrestling promotion out of Portland.
Oh. Portland, Maine?
Portland, Oregon.
Oh. There's a Portland, Oregon, really?
Yes, there's a Portland, Oregon.
Oh.
And they've just started their tag team title tournament.
Pow!
crown the first POW heavyweight or tag team champions.
Pow!
Yes, like like the comic books. When you used to see or the old Batman, uh, with Adam West. Um,
I am Batman.
the reason I brought that up is the first team to advance is actually a tag team that we're going to have in the near future on the podcast.
Oh?
And that's Jack and Sledge, the Hammer Brothers.
Oh. So who won the match, Jack or Sledge?
I think
It
was
don't
Sledge.
damn matter.
I walked right into that one.
Yes, you did.
Which is a feat in and of itself.
Are you gonna get that game soon?
That's right. The Hammer Brothers, Jack and Sledge Hammer, will be here in June. Which means they're not the 50th anniversary surprise or the 50th episode surprise. So sorry, ladies and gentlemen, Jack and Sledge are not the 50th it's not the 50th episode.
Although it should be based on the promo I saw them cut today, they should be a very entertaining interview.
I hope so. Now, it seems how Nathan does comparisons. My comparison to the Hammer Brothers would be the indie version of Heavy Machinery. Tucker and Otis.
I would actually agree with that, except for Jack isn't as big as Tucker. But yeah, I can see where you do that.
Well, of course.
I would,
because I do my research too, unlike you, forehead.
Again, they don't see the nose, the mouth, and the sexy beard that I have going right here.
Yeah, keep talking, forehead.
I would compare them to Heavy Machinery with the intensity of Demolition or the Road Warriors.
So, this is I just seen something up here, ladies and gentlemen, in the title. If you notice, it's From the Chair with BME and Nathan. That's right. He gave up 50% of his company to Big Money Exchange. Therefore, them is our boss.
Yep. And I gotta give a credit where credit's due.
But if you notice the banner here, it's From the Chair with Nathan and Big Money Exchange. That's the true title, because Big Money Exchange wanted Nathan to keep the podcast, but just be 50% partners. So again, that is why myself and BME is better than Nathan, and he knows it.
Thank you, MJF. So let's talk about a match that happened last week that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet.
Oh boy, he's still talking, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so sorry.
Well, this is a podcast. You're supposed to talk. So let's talk about the match between Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega last Wednesday on Dynamite.
And I'm surprised nobody's talking about that match.
They should be. For any viewers out there who haven't seen it, or any viewers that'll watch this later who haven't seen it, I implore you, go back and watch that match in its entirety. Because I know it's got to be floating around the internet somewhere. The part that I got a little bit worried on, honestly, and I want to get your opinion, is when Kenny Omega did the V trigger through the cage, and his leg got caught on the bottom end of the cage, and his whole momentum stopped. With the knee and hip issues that Kenny Omega had in the past, I, you know, I thought he had hurt himself.
Well, yeah, but you're missing the important part of that entire match. There was a major turn in that match.
Yes, but I'm not 100%.
The reason Kenny Omega lost that match.
And thank you to our one viewer who's watching right now. Please, if you have any thoughts on the Kenny Omega match or anything you want to talk about, please put it in the chat, and we'll talk about it. And what you're talking about is the turn of Don Callis on Kenny Omega.
And let me guess, you're going to say you don't think it's a heel turn or a face turn.
No, I don't. I think right or wrong, I think Tony Khan wanted somebody to replace William Regal in the Blackpool Combat Club. And so he's gonna have Don Callis join up with the Blackpool Combat Club, the BCC. And for anybody that was like, "Why I didn't see that coming," they had been kind of teasing at that for a while. I mean, if you go back to when the Young Bucks got attacked and were taken away by the ambulance, and Kenny wanted to go with them, and Don stopped him, to where Don Callis got attacked by Jon Moxley, and Kenny Omega didn't do anything to avenge him being like knocked out. Plus, I mean, let's be fair, that's kind of been Callis's MO ever since the ECW days.
I agree. Kind of.
Kind of.
Well, I mean, Don Callis has always been a snake in the grass. Don Callis has always been a heel, but you're right. They need somebody to take over the leadership of the BCC. And who better than Mr. Don Callis? But I wish he would have tore out Kenny Omega's eye, and really, really put the story into effect. Because, we all know that Stadium Stampede or whatever they call it, Anarchy in the Arena or whatever they call it is coming up. And we all know, rumor has it, it's going to be BCC versus the Elite in this year's match.
Yes, I see that too. But the only thing, and I agree with you on, it should have been a little more brutal as far as what Don Callis did to Kenny Omega. Because when they showed back to Kenny Omega, Don Callis stabbed him with a screwdriver, but there was barely any blood on Omega's head. So how's that selling how brutal, the attack is? If a guy gets nailed by a screwdriver, there's no blood on it. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And you know how big of a fan I am of Bryan Danielson. Always have been, always will be. But I have to be honest and I have to be real on this podcast. Mr. Danielson, your reaction to that quote unquote turn was the worst reaction I've ever had seen in my life in wrestling. Because the whole look was like, oh my god, I didn't know that was gonna happen. There was no like, jumping up. It was just like, like you would saw like something shocking in a movie or something. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get that.
Now, the next question I have about the BCC is who's going to team with Cesaro now that Cesaro has a shot at the and a partner have a shot at the ROH Tag Championships after he beat Ray Phoenix on Dynamite. Now, I would have said Wheeler Yuta, but lately he's been teaming with John Moxley. Thoughts?
The big money match would be Cesaro and Moxley versus the Lucha Brothers. But, I would like to see, like you said, Wheeler Yuta and Cesaro team up. But I agree. I think it's probably going to be Mox and Claudio, just because, they are the veterans of the team besides Danielson. But
the only reason I might think that might not happen, the more I think about it now, is because wouldn't Moxley want to, or wouldn't Omega want Moxley in like another match because of the betrayal of Don Callis?
very possible.
And there's a rumor, and I want to say a rumor, that Kota Ibushi has told people that AEW is his first choice to go to. And for those of you who don't know, Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega are really close friends and used to be the Golden Lovers in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I can see maybe for like that Stadium Stampede or Blood Guts or whatever they're gonna put the elite the BCC in. I can see it being all the members of the BCC with Don Callis in their corner against Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and then originally make it with Adam Page, but then have the BCC once again take out Adam Page. And then Kenny Omega goes against Kota Ibushi in story. And they reform the Golden Elite Lovers or something like that, where they combine the two names together. And Kota Ibushi helps them out in the Blood Guts or Stadium Stampede or, whatever match they decide to do it in.
Yeah, I agree.
Which brings us to another point. Where has Hangman Adam Page been? Anybody have any ideas?
I don't know. Maybe they're just waiting for the right moment to bring him back.
And we've been using this line a lot tonight, and it's because it fits and because of the partnership. But that 10-man tag, wherever they decide to do it, would be absolutely big money. Now, I have another question about AEW. This rivalry with Chris Jericho and Adam Cole. Do you think Jericho uses maybe Ty Mello or maybe Anna Jay, and they do maybe a mixed tag at Double or Nothing?
Possibly.
Okay, let's talk about WWE for a minute. We all know that Otis is going to OTs because of Maxine Dupree. I can't do that. I'm sorry how horrible that was. What do you think they're gonna do with Chad Gable?
Good idea. I have no idea what they're gonna do with Chad Gable. I don't know. What do you think they're gonna do with him?
Honestly, I would like to see this. I would like to see him form a team with after have him just kind of tool around after SummerSlam till after SummerSlam, and then they bring up Damian Kim and put Shelton with Chad Gable and have that team be endorsed by Kurt Angle and kind of form a modern day version of Team Angle. Kind of like a 3-man version of either Team Angle or the Alpha, or Team Alpha like it used to be with Jason Jordan.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I would have said Gable Steveson, but apparently Gable Stevenson's gonna go try to win another gold medal.
I see.
And I think Gable Stevenson's I think WWE's patience with Gable Steveson might be running a little bit thin. And the reason I say that is because think about the money that WWE has spent on Gable Steveson and has got nothing back in return yet. So for those of you who don't know, and this isn't a rumor because it's been verified, WWE built a mini performance center on the campus of the University of Minnesota so that Gable Steveson could train for the Olympics and he could train for his career in WWE simultaneously. And those type of things don't come cheap. So that's why I think that, especially with their new partnership with Endeavor, that WWE's patience with him might be running thin because you put out that much money and you get reports back, rumor reports, and that part I will specify as rumor, that he's not progressing well enough to be, called up on the main roster, even though in a weird move he was drafted, not this last draft, but the draft before that, to Raw. And that boggled my mind why they did that and didn't send him down to NXT, when he finally makes his debut. So I can see them possibly cutting ties with Gable Steveson.
Well, what are they going to do with his brother then?
His brother's been doing wonderful things in NXT. He just had a hell of a match with Eddie Thorpe on NXT.
James.
So as far as that goes, I think his brother will be called up after SummerSlam. And like I said, he'll probably end up going with Chad Gable. And since you have a man with the pedigree, no offense to Triple H, of Shelton Benjamin, you could easily put Shelton Benjamin in that group and like reform about American Alpha.
Very, very true.
And I know some people say, well, then what do you do with Cedric Alexander? I think Cedric Alexander would do better in either Impact or AEW. I think as soon as they drop the Cruiserweight title, WWE lost interest in doing anything with Cedric Alexander.
I agree.
And that's been proven. I mean, look, they barely get off main event. When they have wrestled on Raw, it was because they were thinking about, and I pre-emphasize the rumored word, thinking about reforming the Hurt Business. So then you had to put them on Raw. But once that dropped, they haven't been back on Raw. I think they get more run on main event than they do anything else, and I don't even know where you can find main event. I believe it might be on Hulu, but again, don't quote me on that because I don't really know.
Exactly. So, as much as we'd like to, we can go a few more minutes. Let's see here. What else you got?
Let's see. Thinking. So, what do you think about the whole point of Collision being not so much a brand split, which I think would be a good thing with the voted roster that AEW has, but primarily being a show that they can put CM Punk on so he's away from the elite.
Well, I mean, we all know that Tony Khan runs his shows all together and everybody's on everybody's show. But, I think AEW, now since they have 3 shows, they should separate it. They need to maybe make Dynamite or Rampage a 2-hour show. And they need to kind of follow, dare we say, in the WWE's footsteps and do a draft. and put certain superstars on certain brands.
I like that idea.
And, I mean, they've got the ROH brand too. So, I mean, you've got actually essentially 4 brands that you can put superstars on, exclusive superstars.
Yes. The only problem I see about putting people on ROH is because the fact that it's only on Honor Club. And if you don't have Honor Club, you wouldn't really be able to see ROH.
Right.
Now, the rumor that I keep hearing is that Collision is going to be moved to the number 2 show behind Dynamite. And Rampage is going to be switched to something akin to Sunday Night from the old WWF days.
But again, ladies and gentlemen, there's a big announcement coming tomorrow night from Tony Khan. So we're not sure what that is also. But, again, rumor has it that since Warner Media has now exclusive rights to AEW, this could be the rumored media library, aka WWE Network, that we've been promised from AEW for the last 5 years.
And I would like to see that, honestly. I think you would have more eyes watching your product if you had it on a streaming service, i.e. your pay-per-views like the WWE Network has or Peacock has. And in turn, if you give somebody an option to watch your pay-per-views, they're going to want to watch Dynamite. They're going to want to watch Collision. They're going to want to watch Rampage. Because they have such easy access to the pay-per-views.
Right. But I mean, I think a good old draft and a good old mix-up will do wonders, and each show should have their own brand-specific title.
Yes. And going back to what I brought up before, do you even think CM Punk should be back at AEW?
Well,
I mean, it's going to happen anyway.
I'm going to go by what our friend T-Rex says, and again, this is just strictly speculation and strictly rumor. As much as CM Punk is a pompous ass and is a cancer to wrestling, he is what they call a person that puts asses in the seats. So therefore, the answer to the question is, as much as I disagree with them bringing back CM Punk, this is the best thing for business for AEW.
I agree. And I do just, like you, I agree that it's a good business move, but I think in the long run, it might alienate your locker room because there's going to be so many. Because we know CM Punk isn't going to change his spots because the leopard doesn't change his spots. So what's going to happen if CM Punk alienates the AEW Collision roster if they split it up?
Who knows? This Collision show was supposed to be for CM Punk, period.
Yes.
So, so we got a lot talked about today, and Mr. Nathan, you did say that both of our guests have confirmed for tomorrow night?
Yes. For tomorrow morning and for tomorrow night.
So we have one show at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. That'll probably be Mr. Noss and myself for for a little bit, and then I'll have to pop off and go to work. Yes, I have a real job too that I have to do. I don't just sit here and bicker back and forth with the host. And then tomorrow night at 6 p.m. is Animal Sam the bad man from the Badlands, or the madman from the Badlands.
Yes.
So, until tomorrow night, thanks to Big Money Exchange, this podcast has now got unlimited supply of resources. Mr. Noss, again, I heard from the Vancouver clinic, and you canceled your appointment yet again. You've got to stop doing this.
Nah.
So, anyways, make that appointment, get it done.
Well, you'd be wasting your money, because, yeah, you'd just be wasting your money. Actually, you'd be wasting Big Buddy's money, and I don't know if you'd want to do that.
So, until next time, be well to each other. See you later. Bye-bye.